Hello everybody, it's Leanne Jago here again for ArtSol Studio. Today I'm sharing a little project that's called Ladies. Now to start off with, what I did was I just gathered up some supplies that I had laying around my desk, as well as a few things from ArtSol Studio itself that I got to challenge myself. So to start off with, I'm just going to be using a piece of mat board that I jelly printed on. If you watched another video called Music, you'll see that. And then just to start off with, I'm just covering it with adding some layers, with some paper doilies, some masking tape, dress pattern, and then also I'm using some old bits that was lying around of a stamped pattern on top of a baking paper. So just using some golden matte medium just to do that. And I'm also adding in some from the ArtC book pages. It's an ephemera kit, and there's actually quite a lot in that, and it's pretty varied. Like there's some colours and some book print and different texts and stuff like that, so I'm adding that as well just to create a background. Now my main focal point today, I'll be using, it's from Tattered Angels. It's a mixed media origins collection. It's a paper, but it feels more canvassy. You'll see it in a minute when I show you, and then I actually cut it out. So, and the actual piece is called Masquerade Ball. I'm just finishing off the layers there, getting ahead of myself. There we go. So this is it, where I've just cut that silhouette, the two ladies out. Now you can see down the bottom how I've ripped that edging off. Now to actually rip that edging off, I actually had to snip it with some scissors and then rip, so it is quite thick. I couldn't just rip it just by itself. So we'll see how it goes. It's the first time I've ever used that product, so let's see. So building up the layers, I've just used just some cheap clear liquid glue in one of the glue pens, I think they're called. Don't know the technical term for it. And I'm using some Tim Holtz distress powder in the peeled paint and the frayed burlap. So for it, all I do was wipe the glue randomly and then add the embossing powder. And then I do two colours of it, and then I heat set it. When I was actually reading what the colours were on the jars before, it's actually told me the instructions on how to actually use the distress powders, and it actually says you heat emboss it first and then you rub it back afterwards, whereas I didn't do that because I didn't read the instructions. I'm very bad at reading instructions. But anyway, so I'm just creating some texture, just trying to find different ways to make texture and to make a bit of interest onto the page with not very much effort. So if you've watched my previous videos, you'll find that I do a lot of layers, whereas this one actually was quite restrained and I held back quite a bit, so it's a little bit different for me. So we'll go from there. So at the moment I'm just heat setting the embossing powder with one hand, and with the other hand I've got some, I've never used it before. It's from Cornell and it's a graphite transfer paper. So what I've done is I've just laid it on there while I'm using my left hand to dry, and I just scratched into it. So I like it because you're making marks, but not traditionally. You can't see where you're making those marks until you lift it up. And the good thing about this is it actually resists the ink and the paint that I put on afterwards. So you'll be able to see that in some close-ups. It's actually pretty cool. I really, really like that. So I will be doing that again. So here I am just adhering those ladies with some golden matte medium. I really like the golden matte medium. So, and then to create texture, I'm just going to use some Liquitex flexible modelling paste, swipe it on quite thick in parts, and then I've just got some stamps there. I'm using a Carabelle Studio background stamp, and then there's another one called Collage Pub as well, where I add it as well. So the texture, you can see it, but it's not until I add the Lindy's Magicals later on that you can actually really get the feel for that texture. But it's again another way to add texture without just putting a stencil down or just putting a swipe down. It just sort of creates a little bit more mood, I guess you can call it. So some of my ladies weren't stuck down quite where I thought I'd stuck them down, so I'm just fixing that up just there then. I'm just drying off those embossing powders. As I said, when I started off, I didn't really know exactly where I was going. I know I wanted to try out that graphite paper and the ladies, and then the embossing powder. So I thought it needed some colours. So I had a look on my desk, and my magicals were hanging around. So I'm just using the Lindy's magicals in the Yodelling yellow, Oom Pah Pah Pink, and the Oktoberfest Orange. So you can see I sprayed water down first, put some down, and then added some more water to let it run where I wanted to, and I was just dabbling it off the ladies because I didn't really want them to get the colour. And when you see some close-ups of this at the end, you actually see how it forms into those marks that I made in the Liquitex modelling paste with the stamps. So it adds a bit more texture again. So I'm just thinking. This is my thinking when there's not much happening. It's my thinking brain happening. So then I just get out. I wanted to make these ladies stand off for the page a little bit, so using my Stabilo marks all in the black. I wanted to create shadows as if the light was coming in from the left. So hence why I only did it on one side of each of these. So I'm just building up the layers with the water and the Stabilo, just to get that depth. I mean, the ladies are really starting to pop off that page then, as you can see there now. I didn't want to do a full shadow all around because I feel like sometimes it just makes them, it doesn't look organic enough. I suppose that'd be the right word. So I'm just adding some more Stabilo down the bottom there. Again, it's just running into those textured spots. And then, you know, my go-to when I don't know what I'm quite going to be doing next, I'll do the border. And then sit back and have a look at it. Again, sometimes when you run your Stabilo around and some parts don't pick up as easy as other parts, so that's why I go back over a couple of parts where I think it needs to be a little bit darker. And then I just flick the paint that was, the watered down Stabilo pencil onto the area as well, just with what was left in my paintbrush. So, and I'm looking at this as I'm drying it, and I'm thinking that the left hand side there, there's nothing there, it needs a bit more. So I thought I'd just try those magicals again. So same colours, again, just wetting them down, moving them around, letting them run wherever they needed some more yellow. And you know what, we're nearly finished for this project. See, I told you that it's not my normal style. I have not added any swipes of gesso or swipes of black paint or added anything else. The only thing I do actually add is a quote from Tim Holtz, and also I just get out another stamp called Textures in a Carabelle Studio stamp again, and just with some Stazon ink, and I just stamp it just to add a bit of interest. And there you have it. So you can see those graphite rubs there and the texture that it's created. I really, really like it. Have a look at the store and have a look at those Tattered Angels products. I really, really like that. And why not challenge yourself? Grab some graphite paper and see what you can do. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I love to hear from you, and don't forget to join in at Soul Sisters.